All right, let's dive into one of the most famous and, let's be honest, famously difficult novels in English literature, Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. It's this wild, passionate, and often pretty brutal story that has fascinated readers for generations. So let's you and I step right into the storm and uncover the dark secrets of this unforgettable place.
Our story kicks off in 1801 with a guy named Mr. Lockwood. He's looking for some peace and quiet, so he rents a home called Thrushcross Grange. He decides to pay a visit to his landlord, the mysterious Mr. Heathcliff, who lives out at his remote home, Wuthering Heights. But what he finds isn't solitude at all. It's a household just simmering with this strange, dark hostility that he can't quite put his finger on.
You know, the whole novel is really built around this clash of two totally opposite worlds. On one hand, you have Wuthering Heights. It stands for everything raw and untamed. Think stormy moors and even stormier emotions. And on the other hand, there's Thrushcross Grange, which is the complete opposite. It's civilized, refined, and all about the orderly world of high society. This conflict, right here, between the wild and the tamed, that's the engine that drives the entire story.
So, to untangle this seriously complex web, we're going to follow the clues, just like Lockwood does. We'll start with his terrifying welcome, then dive into the past to uncover the story of two souls running wild on the moors. After that, we'll see the fateful decision that tears them apart, track a terrible and calculated revenge, and finally, confront the ghosts that just refuse to stay buried.
Okay, first up, a stranger at the Heights. Now, Lockwood thinks of himself as a bit of a recluse, but he is completely unprepared for the level of antisocial he's about to walk into. His visits, well, they're nothing short of a disaster.
Lockwood's welcome is, well, there is no welcome. He finds his landlord, Heathcliff, is colder than the moors themselves. He's immediately attacked by a pack of snarling dogs, and when a blizzard traps him there overnight, he's forced to stay in this strange, unused room, a room that seems to be haunted by a single name, Catherine, just scratched over and over into the windowsill.
And this is where we get the Gothic heart of the novel. In the middle of the night, Lockwood has this absolutely terrifying nightmare. He hears tapping at the window, and when he reaches out to stop it, his fingers grab a small, ice-cold hand. A child's voice starts sobbing, begging to be let in, saying she's Catherine Linton and she's been lost on the moors for 20 years.
Lockwood screams, which wakes up Heathcliff, but instead of being confused, Heathcliff reacts with this raw, uncontrollable passion. He throws open the window and just begs for Cathy to come in from the storm. It's this stunning moment of anguish, and it reveals there's a deep, tragic history here. Lockwood, totally bewildered, asks the housekeeper, Nellie Dean, for an explanation. And that's when the real story finally begins.
So Nellie takes Lockwood, and us, back in time, right to the moment it all started. She kicks off her story with a childhood bond that would become the source of all this passionate love and all this devastating pain.
Nellie explains that it all began when the old master of Wuthering Heights, Mr. Earnshaw, came back from a trip to Liverpool. He brought with him this dirty, ragged boy he'd found on the streets. He names him Heathcliff, which was the name of a son who died, and raises him right alongside his own kids, Hindley and Catherine. Now, Hindley grows to absolutely hate the boy who's stolen his father's attention. But Catherine and Heathcliff, they become inseparable. They're like two halves of the same soul, spending all their time running wild on the moors, rebelling against everyone. Their connection isn't just a friendship, it's something elemental, forged in that untamed landscape around them.
But this raw, inseparable bond is about to be put to the ultimate test. We now get to the story's great turning point, a decision Catherine makes that will shatter their world and set the stage for all the tragedy to come.
After spending some time at the very refined Thrushcross Grange, Catherine gets drawn into the world of its heir, Edgar Linton. She actually accepts his marriage proposal, and it's driven by this fateful mix of social ambition and a tragically misguided plan. She convinces herself that by marrying the rich, handsome Edgar, she can use her new status to lift Heathcliff out of the misery her own brother has forced on him. It's a choice of her head over her heart.
But then, in one of the most famous speeches in all of literature, she confesses to Nellie that her feelings for Edgar are, well, they're superficial. Her love for Heathcliff is something else entirely. It's eternal. It's essential to her very being. She doesn't just love him. She says, Nellie, I am Heathcliff. So in choosing Edgar, she's actually choosing against her own soul. And this is where it all goes so horribly wrong. Tragically, Heathcliff is secretly listening. But he only hears one part of the conversation, the part where Catherine says it would degrade her to marry him. He doesn't stick around to hear her profound declaration of love. Nope. Heartbroken and humiliated, he flees Wuthering Heights that very night and just vanishes into the storm.
3 years go by. Catherine marries Edgar. And then, just as suddenly as he left, Heathcliff is back, but he is a changed man, and he has returned with one single, all-consuming purpose: revenge.
Heathcliff's revenge is just a masterclass in cruelty. He comes back as a wealthy gentleman and then systematically dismantles the lives of everyone who wronged him. He preys on Hindley's gambling and drinking problems to seize control of Wuthering Heights. Then, to hurt Edgar and get his hands on the Linton fortune, he cruelly elopes with Edgar's innocent sister Isabella. His vengeance isn't just one act. It's this slow, methodical poison meant to destroy two families from the inside out.
And his twisted game doesn't stop with the first generation. No, the real horror of his plan is that he turns his vengeance on their children, the next generation, young Catherine, Hareton, and even his own son, Linton. They all become pawns in his relentless quest to control both the Earnshaw and the Linton fortunes.
Trapped in the crossfire between the two men she loves, the passionate and fragile Catherine is pushed completely over the edge. After one final, agonizing showdown with Heathcliff, her spirit just breaks. She gives birth to a daughter, also named Catherine, and then she fades away and dies. But her death doesn't bring any peace. For Heathcliff, it just fuels his quest, twisting his incredible grief into this monstrous, lifelong obsession.
With Catherine gone, Heathcliff's life becomes this long, tormented wait to be reunited with her ghost. So this final part of our story looks at his last years and asks whether this cycle of hatred can finally be broken.
Heathcliff gets his ultimate revenge. He forces a marriage between his dying son and young Catherine, which allows him to seize control of all their property. But his victory feels hollow. He starts being tormented by visions of the Catherine he lost, and his will to live just dissolves. He's eventually found dead, finally reunited with her ghost, and his passing breaks the cycle of hatred, which allows this gentle love to blossom between young Catherine and Hareton, offering a glimmer of hope for a future free from the past.
And so the story comes full circle, right back to Lockwood. He's visiting the graves of Catherine and Heathcliff, lying side by side on the moor, and he reflects on how peaceful their final resting place is. He wonders how anyone could ever imagine them not being at peace, finally together in the earth they both loved so much.
Which leaves us with the novel's powerful, lingering question. Is this a cautionary tale about how revenge can destroy absolutely everything? Or is it one of the most epic and unconventional love stories ever told, about a connection so profound that not even death could end it? Maybe, in the end, it's hauntingly, tragically both.